Hello everyone, welcome back to the Park Winners Flower Farm. It is a beautiful day in the end of July. We've had the most amazing summer so far, and one of the best things about summer, in my opinion, is the fruit that grows in the summer. Peaches are one of them. I'd love to introduce you to Zach. How's it going, Zach?
Hey John, how are you?
Good to see you.
Great to see you.
This is Chef Zack, one of the most amazing chefs that we have the pleasure of working with here. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
I've been a chef for about 3 years now. I've been absolutely obsessed with cooking since I was 3 years old. My grandfather, he really instilled that into me. One of my favorite stories about him is he was chasing me around his house with lobsters. And one day I just had enough and I was like, I want to kill them. And he took me on his shoulders and he showed me how to put it in the pot. And ever since then, I have absolutely loved cooking. It's been a huge part of my life. And it's something I want to do for a long, long time.
That's so cool. And that's one of the things that we love here also is like the creative freedom that chefs can have, because you basically are an artist with food. One of the things you did too was a barbecue pizza, and that was more of your dad's recipe, right?
Absolutely. So my dad, he brought home this magazine one time. It was a golf magazine. It had this old Kansas style barbecue sauce recipe, and he altered it a little bit. And it became our family recipe for years. We would have it at every July 4th party. And I wanted to kind of take that and bring that into the pizza station. And so we created this barbecue chicken pizza. We roasted the chicken in the oven with the barbecue sauce. It goes on the base, red onions, cotija cheese. Absolutely wonderful.
Yes, we highlighted it. It worked perfectly because it was your dad's recipe. We highlighted it for the Father's Day brunch here at the Flower Farm. And am I correct in my assumption that this wasn't exactly what your family envisioned for you originally?
Not at all. Actually, I have a degree from UC Davis in political science. My mother really wants me to be a lawyer, but I took a different path. When I was graduating, I was able to get a job in the cooking industry, and I've been doing that ever since. Absolutely love it. No regrets. That's
so cool. When it shows in what you cook, which you will all see. Because one of the cool things about the Flower Farm is that we obviously focus on flowers, but the entire perimeter is filled with these amazing fruit trees. So pomegranates, which I'm sure you'll have a reoccurring role here because he's going to be creating some amazing desserts with pomegranates. But today is peaches. It's peach season. Zach and our farm team has picked a lot of peaches that you'll be doing what with today?
We're going to be making a peach crème brûlée. So we have a couple different steps that we're going to break it down into, but it's pretty easy to follow, and I'm super excited to show it with you.
Nice. And in my opinion, crème brûlée is one of those that can go either way, where there's a lot of purists that are like, why would you mess with the perfect recipe? And I am kind of one of those people, but when I tasted your peach crème brûlée, you convinced me. Yeah, it's just wonderful to use some produce and put it into something that is not typical, and to showcase that here at the pavilion is just such an honor, and I'm super excited to show you guys. All right, let's look. This is going to be great. Yeah.
Now we're in the Park Winners kitchen, and I'm going to be showing you how we make our peach compote base for the brulee. So we start off with roasting some of these peaches. What I do is I slice them, and I use a little bit of brown sugar, and I coat them, and I roast them to bring out some of those caramelized flavors. Those are really great for creating nutty, subtle notes that really amplify the sweetness of the custard. A normal creme brulee is usually just custard, so that's egg, cream, vanilla, and you let that all mix. You need to temper out the eggs with that cream mixture, and then you set it in your creme brulee and you bake it in a bain-marie. Now, bain-marie is just hot water and the ramekins, and you cook it about halfway, and you just need to see that it's nice and jiggly, but not too set. First step is we're going to take these peaches and add them to a pot with a little bit of water in it. We're going to start everything cold. I think the best thing about using fresh seasonal produce is you're seeing the ingredient as Mother Nature would intend it. It really demonstrates what the product is and what it should be, and I like keeping things simple, not changing recipes too much, but also allowing for freedom of expression. The great thing about roasting these with brown sugar is it creates a nutty base. So brown sugar contains molasses, and when you roast that, you get these little brown bits on edges of food that when you deglaze with certain chemicals, it adds notes to your food and it adds color. It's really beautiful at the bottom of the brulee. It creates this kind of orange glossiness that's further exasperated by the natural color of the peaches. Now to this, we're going to add about 4 oranges juiced. and we're gonna bring this to a simmer. This usually goes for about 20 minutes. It needs to come up to temp, so the peaches are already roasted, so it just needs to break down further. And once they're a little bit more mushy, we're gonna add in some fresh peaches to create a difference in texture when you bite into the brulee. Additionally, while this is coming up to a simmer, I just take a little bit of our wildflower honey, and I just gently pour that in. Doesn't need too much. These peaches are already very naturally sweet from all that brown sugar and the sugars within the peaches, but this helps getting the right texture, and it'll also help with our peach syrup that we'll make at the base. So this idea really stems from the idea that we want to take some of the peaches that may not make it into the canning process for our vanilla peach jam and save them and use them for something different. And so when I was working one day and doing our other desserts, I noticed, hey, there's these leftover peaches. Let's use them for something. Let's make a creme brulee. And so I took some older peaches and reconstituted them into this compote that I'm making right now, and they are the base of this wonderful brulee recipe. So when you're cooking, super important to always be tasting your food. You want to make sure it's coming out consistent across batches. So I always, throughout the steps, like to taste. Even though this isn't done, I'm going to make sure it's the right sweetness level I'm looking for. Perfect. So these roasted peaches are pretty much done. You can see that they're getting a little mushy, which is what we want. Now we're going to amplify the textures that you'll find by adding some fresh peach. And we won't cook this out as much. That way when you take a bite, you're still getting a nice bit of peach. So the contrast with this is as this cooks out, you know, these peaches from the heat are going to release a little bit of moisture, which is going to help them cook and steam in a way. And so when we add other ingredients, it's just going to create a really nice mouthfeel that doesn't take away from the softness of the custard. So now that we've added our fresh peaches, we're going to add a little bit of water and let this come up to a simmer again. That's just going to steam it a little bit and add some moisture, allow this thing to kind of come together. Another important thing, whenever you're deglazing, you'll find a lot of sugars, whether it's with meat or whether it's fruit, brown sugar, white sugar, it'll create this kind of browning effect in your pan. It's always great to try to scrape that up. Make sure you're using the right utensils for the right pan. You don't want to scrape non-stick with metal, but you can get all that browning and add it to your dish. It just is flavor once released with moisture. We take a little cognac, about a cup we add to this mixture. And remember folks, safety first if you're ever doing this. So the reason why we light it with a torch for a little bit is that flame is going to cook off all the alcohol and just leave the cognac flavor into our peach. Now we're going to strain out this peach compote very slowly. We're straining it because we want to remove a lot of this moisture that's left over from the water, from the peach, from the cognac. We just want those concentrated flavors. And then we're actually going to take all that moisture at the bottom of this container there, and we're going to turn it into a syrup that we also use to enhance the flavor of the brulee. A really cool trick I learned is whenever you're straining, use a ladle. It helps push down a lot of that moisture, and you could see it kind of trickling through slowly. It helps get a lot of that down. And what this process also does is it mushes up the peaches a little bit, so it further creates that mouthfeel that you're looking for when you take a bite. So now we have our peaches, and we're going to take all this moisture and reduce it down into a syrup. So peaches have a lot of natural pectin. That's that thickened kind of texture you can see right there. And that's really useful for a lot of different baking ingredients. It's great for syrups, which is what we're about to use it for, but pectin is a wonderful natural thickener for all types of stuff. Definitely recommend using it. So we're going to take all this, we're going to pour it to our pot, and we are going to reduce. And it's already pretty hot, so it should come to a boil really quick. Make sure you're careful with this. It's a lot of sugar. It's the leftover compounds from the cognac. It will boil over if you're not careful, so just make sure you're watching it. Right now, I'm taking our peach compote base, and I'm putting it into our ramekin. I do about one little ladle. This is maybe like 1/8 of a cup. And doesn't need a lot because we want that custard to shine through. This is just to really show that summer flavor, summer freshness, all with the peaches. Then we're going to take some of that peach syrup. Now you can see it is nice and thick. It is bubbled up. And we're just going to put just a little bit. And this will be such a nice finishing touch for our base. This is the trickiest step probably for a lot of pastries, I would say, that are egg-based and custard-based. You want to make sure that you're tempering your eggs. So what that means is you're not scrambling them. So this is a hot liquid, and these eggs are about room temperature. If I just add it fully in, it's just going to scramble instantly. So the way I counteract that is I add a little bit of hot liquid at the start, and I'm just bringing these eggs up to the temperature of the cream. That's why it's called tempering. We're just going to go slow. We don't want to scramble at all. And eventually, these eggs will be the same temperature, roughly, and then we can add in the full cream. So you don't need to do this for the entire amount, just until the eggs are good to go and are not at risk of scrambling. And now that most of this liquid to the right of me has been added to my eggs, I can safely just kind of pour it in and not have to worry too much. And I'll give this a stir in a second. For an extra layer of protection when I'm doing the custard, I actually strain this egg mixture just in case anything scrambles, and also to pick up all that orange zest, which you don't really want, you just want the flavor. And we're just gonna very carefully pass it through this chinoise. So you can see all the impurities and a little bit of leftover egg, orange zest, that all gets trapped in there, and you're just left with that egg custard mix. Really good way to separate it all. Now that the custard's done, we can finally go for adding it to our peach bases. So we're just gonna go nice and slow. We don't wanna mix this, so you're just kind of gently pouring over. It's okay if a little gets in there, but we wanna be careful. Just like that. And so bain-marieing just refers to adding water to about halfway up. And what that's going to do is it's going to add a steaming agent to the cooking process. You're going to be allowed to lower the heat, so you're not cooking the top of these brulees, but the steam will help heat the middle, so it all sets as a nice little custard. We're just going to go halfway up, about right there. And now we just plop into the oven at 325 for about 45 minutes to an hour. And then we let it chill, and we serve it with a little bit of torch sugar. So it's now been about an hour, and we're ready to take these brulees out. Oh yeah, they are nice and set. You can see they're slightly jiggly, but no longer any liquid moving around that much. So now that we've taken the brulees out of the oven, we've let them sit overnight just to set completely, and we're gonna do a final torch. So we do this right at the pizza oven, so it's coming straight from us, straight from the torch and the fire, right to your table. We just use granulated white sugar, and this adds a nice kind of toffee crunch almost to the top. Just the hallmark of a great brulee is this perfect torch sear.
I could not wait to add this to the menu. I already love creme brulee, but a peach creme brulee, and the way that one of the cool things about Chef Zack is that as he's walking around the property, you're always looking at what is growing, what's coming, what you can do with it. And so when you mentioned this, I couldn't wait.
All right, here we go.
Wow, that smells incredible.
And usually, just so that way it's not molten hot right when it gets to your table, I let it sit for like a minute or two, and that sugar will harden up like a candy. And it's just that perfect crack. And now for the most important part of creme brulee, the crack.
Let's do it. Nice. And in my opinion, the best part, of course, even above and beyond the crack, is tasting it. Cheers.
Absolutely. Cheers.
Oh wow, that crunch is so good with the creamy and the peaches at the bottom.
Perfect.
Wow. Well done. Seriously, thank you so much.
Thank you.
And then for anyone else who wants to come and try Zack's amazing creme brulee with peaches from here on the property, we are serving them every Saturday and Sunday. It is a limited time because once the peaches aren't growing anymore, there will be no more peach creme brulee. But looking forward to seeing what you come up with for the fall too.
Absolutely. Thank you, guys.
Yeah, thank you so much.